Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. It is the 16th of September, that means we're halfway through the month and also the magical Readathon autumn equinox, and I want to start the vlog for the second half of the month now. I want to give you a quick update just in case you forgot or you haven't watched the first part of this vlog, but I'm currently halfway through my calling. I have finished 4 books for it and I still need to finish 4 books for that. So far I have finished the O in Alchemy, the Q in Alchemy, the O in Inscription and the Q in Inscription. And I'm currently working on spells and incantations with kind of an asterisk to that, but we'll talk more about that when we get there. I've also so far read 1 book for the quest. And as I said, we'll talk more about that when we get there. But the books I'm currently reading, I'm currently 185 pages into The House of Always. This is the 4th book in the Course of Dragons series. I can't really talk about it much, but so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm almost halfway through, which is very exciting because it's a big chunky book, and also the font is tiny. There's so many words on a page. It's like, it takes forever to read this. Like, I spent all of yesterday reading this and like barely made it over 100 pages basically. So I'll be chipping away at that, and there is a whole reading vlog for the first 3 books in this series if you want to go and check it out and learn more about this series. And I will also do a separate reading vlog about reading book 4 and 5 in the series that will probably be out in October. So that's my physical reading. And then for my audiobook, I'm currently listening to the Dead Cat Tail Assassins by Djèlí Clark. I have about 2 hours left of that, so I will probably finish it tomorrow. And so far I'm liking it, but I'm not loving it, which is a little bit sad because I love Djèlí Clark. Usually his books work like really well for me. So this one is a tiny little bit of a disappointment, but at the same time, it's still Djèlí Clark and I'm still having a good time. So that's where we're at right now, and I will update you when something interesting happens. So today's the 18th of September and I have a quick update. I finished my audiobook The Dead Cat Tails Assassins by Djèlí Clark. I must say that this was probably my least favorite Djèlí Clark I've read so far, but I think it is pretty much what I expected, but it was a little bit too long for what it did. Now in this one we follow a woman who is dead, but she is in service of a goddess and she's an assassin. And basically how it works is that she gets these contracts that were sanctioned by her goddess, and then she has to go out and kill someone. But she gets this contract, and when she reaches the person she's supposed to kill, she recognizes that person from her life, which is not possible. You do not have memories after you have died. So this is like very irregular, something is going on. And so she decides, instead of killing that person, that she's gonna take the person away and try to figure out what is going on. And this, I think, would have been a great video game because it just repeats itself a little bit too much, because you have this guild of like assassins, and basically what ends up happening is that our main character and this person that she didn't kill, they fight against each of those other assassins, and it's like, you know, everyone has their little unique spin, unique weapons, unique fighting style and stuff like that. And so yeah, you basically have these 2 people just fighting their way through the Assassin's Guild. And while it was entertaining, it just lacked a little bit of depth for me personally. I think the whole time fuckery thing we have in there is quite interesting to read about, but just the repetitive nature of this book, I am a character-driven reader, and this one just didn't have a lot of like development of the characters. It had a little bit of like the characters getting to know each other, but still it wasn't enough for me to have this length of a book. Now, this book is not long at all. The audiobook was around 7 hours, but all the other books I've read by P. Jellyclock were novellas, so they were like 3 or 4 hours max. So I definitely felt like while this had very similar vibes, it does get quite violent as well. It just didn't do more than these other stories that were like half of that length. So I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. In my heart, it's more like a 3.75. I would still say if you're interested, go for it. Just don't expect too much from it. I think I also expected a little bit more of the vibes. Like when you read the title and you look at the cover, I just feel like you could have done even more with that. And it was quite brutal and quite violent in parts, but I don't know. It just didn't quite scratch the itch that I wanted it to. So that book is done. This book I read for my queue in Spells and Incantations. Problem is, I haven't done my O in Spells and Incantations yet, so we'll get there when we get there. Right now, things are a little bit up in the air because of the quest, because I could shuffle around some books that I'm reading and that I'm planning on reading, depending on the quest things. So right now, it's all a little bit uncertain. So I have decided which audiobook I'm going to listen to next, but I can't really say what I'm going to use it for yet because it is not quite clear yet. But I decided to go for Someone You Can Build a Nest In. This is, I think, a cozy horror about a shape-shifting monster who falls in love with a woman, and I think it is a sapphic story. And they just have to come to terms with the fact that love works differently for humans than shape-shifting monsters. So I'm intrigued by this one. I've heard great things, and I think that is what I'm in the mood for. Like cozy horror sounds like what I need right now. So I hope I will really love it, and I'll update you how it goes. So today is the 20th of September, and we're going to the Cat Café. It's the 21st of September. Tomorrow is officially the start of autumn. And yesterday, for my little trip to the Cat Café, I managed to read this book. The German translation is called Sommerliebe. This is translated from Japanese by an author called Mori, Yoko. And this is a novella and 3 short stories that this author wrote. The novella is the debut of the author, and you can definitely tell it follows very autobiographically a Japanese woman who married a British man, but then also has affairs with other British and American men in Tokyo. I think this is set around like the 80s probably, so if you want to read about 80s people who hate their spouses, that's probably something you would be interested in here. But for me personally, I'm not really interested in that. I'm not interested in marriage, and you know, as someone who doesn't believe in monogamous relationships. It's just not very interesting to me. The writing in the German translation was also very clunky. I don't read a lot in German, so it's always a little bit of a change of pace for me to go into a German translation of any book. But yeah, I just really didn't like the writing in the debut novella at all. The 3 short stories I liked more. They have different topics, but they all center Japanese women and usually some kind of like relationship they have with men. And yeah, I enjoyed those more. I think they just highlighted different aspects of Japanese society at the time a little bit more, especially when it comes to dating and marriage. So that was quite interesting, and you can definitely also see how the author developed as a writer. So overall, I gave this book 3 stars. I'm not mad that I read it. It was also a very fast read, but it's also not something that will stick in my mind. I will probably not remember this book at all. And yeah, with that, I did another thing for the quest, which is great because we can finally continue on with the quest. And we have one more book ticked off my TBR.
I give you the same warning I gave in the first video. I will spoil the quest here. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the quest, please use the chapters and make sure to always jump over these parts so you don't get spoiled. But in the first vlog, we already tried option 3, that was a fail. Now we have option 2, so let's see whether that worked. Okay, so I think this one did work, which is very lucky because I really did not want to do the 3rd prompt. Okay, and so next we have to read a book with a mirror on the cover, which again, I immediately feel like I don't have any of that. So I'll go looking.
I'm also almost halfway through The House of Always. I have 2 more chapters to reach the halfway point. And today we're starting the magical all-nighter. So I hope to make like really good progress with this book this weekend. I read this very slowly because there's just so much text, but I'm also really enjoying this. Like this series, these characters, very near and dear to my heart. So I can't wait to continue on reading this. And then last but not least, for my audiobook, Someone You Can Build a Nest In, I am almost halfway through with that one as well. In this one, we follow a monster called Shasheshin as she is attacked by random monster hunters. They come into her lair and just like try to kill her, and she's not really happy with that. And she realizes that there is like a bigger plot to get rid of her, so she has to leave her lair and pretend to be human to kind of infiltrate this plot. And while she's doing that, she also meets another woman, and they form a very cute relationship. And Shisheshin realizes like very quickly that she is kind of in love with that woman, and that she wants her to be the nest for her future children, which basically means that that person will die because like the offspring will eat the person. So I think it is about her realizing how parentage is like different for humans and for her kind, and also that love is maybe not like great if you have to kill the person for your offspring. And we have a lot of like thematic work about family and parents in this one, which I think is very interesting because the love interest, Homily, that's the name. They all have a little bit of wonky names in that family. Homily has a very complicated relationship with her family, and I just really like the way that is explored. I also really love the tone of the book. I think it is done really well. I really love when you have a writing style that immediately gives you like information about the character just by the way the book is written. So that works really well for me. And I also really love the audiobook narrator. I feel like it is kind of like this like posh Mary Poppins voice where, you know, it's just like, it's like posh but fun British English. And I just really love the way she narrates this book. So I'm having a great time with that, and I'll probably get a lot more done today because it's my chores day, so I have to do all this stuff around the house, go grocery shopping, and I usually listen to my audiobook while I do all of that. So I'm gonna make some more progress today with both the audiobook and hopefully House of Always as soon as the all-nighter starts. So today is the 24th of September and we have exactly 1 week left of the readathon. And I do have a quick update. I finished my audiobook, Someone You Can Build a Nest In, and it was glorious. I really enjoyed this book. It is this weird mixture of fantasy, a little bit of like gory horror. It has a tiny little bit of a romance, but it's an aro ace. No, it's just an ace romance, I guess. It also just is like cute and cozy, I don't know. It's a very interesting mix and definitely something I haven't read before in that way, and so in the end I decided to give it 4.5 stars. I think while it is kind of cozy, like gory cozy if that is a thing, it also deals with some heavy topics because both of our characters have mommy issues and they're definitely working through that. Our love interest even more than our main character of Secession, but I just really enjoyed the way their communication was portrayed. I really loved seeing a ace romance in this genre. Obviously, it's something I have mentioned before with other books. I always am unsure about how to feel when ace characters are not human, because that is kind of a weird like stereotype that like having sexual urges is human. But in this case, I also really liked how the whole like procreating thing was separate for Secession from her like romantic interests and her sexuality or asexuality. So I think it was done well. I enjoyed it, but I think depending on how you're going with this, you will like it or not, but both of our love interests do not want to be overly like sexual and physical with each other. They do like hug and cuddle, and it's like all very respectful, and I just really loved how that was portrayed in this book. I really enjoyed it, and so yeah, that was just very nice. And I think this book is very nice if you don't mind gross body part stuff. So yeah, I would definitely recommend if you're into cozy horror fantasy with a lot of gore, definitely check this book out. It is one of a kind for sure. Then I'm also about 90 pages from the end of House of Always, so we're getting close. My goal is to finish this on Thursday because on Friday I will go traveling to see my family, and so I don't want to bring this book, so I hope to finish it before that trip, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then we have one book for the calling left, so one more book after this. So quick check-in for my calling. So I read Someone You Can Build a Nest In for my O in Artificery. This is the only Artificery prompt that I needed, so that is checked off. So all we need right now is the O in Spells and Incantations, which is the House of Always, and then we need the D in Alchemy. And then I have finished my calling. So we are very, very close, and I'm pretty sure I can do it. I don't think I will be able to finish the quest this month, we'll see, but my next audiobook is working towards the quest, and with this one I'm stretching the prompt a little bit, but I hope that is alright. And I'm reading The Blonde Dies First by Joelle Wellington. I read the debut by the author in the April round, so it's kind of fitting to read her new book now. And these are YA kind of horror thrillers with black main characters. I really, really enjoyed the first one. So my hopes for the second one are up quite high. I think this is technically a slasher. I'm very intrigued to see how that goes, but so far I've only listened to like the first chapter or something. We're following twin sisters, and basically one is the like really preppy, perfect school grades, finishes college, finishes high school early to go to college kind of person, and the other one is more like the regular girl, and they are attending a party with all of the like preppy private school friends from the one twin. And yeah, I'm just intrigued. I'm intrigued where it goes. I think like the first one had this like tournament kind of competition element, so I'm intrigued to see whether this one will also have some kind of like a game that turns brutal. We'll see. But I really trust this author, so I am very excited to listen to this. So today is the 27th, and today I'm going to visit my family for the weekend. So I guess from here out on we probably won't have too much reading happening, but I do have some reading updates before I go. Yesterday I finally finished reading The House of Always. This is the fourth book in the Course of Dragon series, and this was definitely a success. I decided to give it 4.5 stars. This is one of those like odd 4.25 stars where 4 isn't quite enough, but then 4.5 is also a little bit too much. This is always a little bit awkward, but I think while I did enjoy this book because I already love all of these characters so much, I think if you just take the plot of this, there's really not that much going on, and it's basically a dog chasing its own tail for like 500 pages. So plus for the characters and the dynamics, kind of minus for all of the like nothing that is happening in this book. And as I said before, I think this very much focuses on a lot of the side characters and what they were up to during the third book. So we're kind of catching up, but I'm even more intrigued now to read the final book, which I will do in October, and I'm very excited. But yeah, this was my 7th book for my calling. So this book gave me my O in spells and incantations, and with that I can officially also count my Q, which I had read previously for. And now I only have one prompt left for my calling. And for that, I wanted to read this book. It's called The Last Step in the Dance. I got this in a book box so many years ago, like so many years ago. And yeah, this is 380 pages. I will probably not read this before the month is over because, as I said, I will be traveling. I think if I was home this weekend, I could make it. But with the traveling, I just won't, because even though I do have like longer train rides, I will have to work while I'm on the train. So yeah, it's just not happening, you guys. But we'll see. I can buy a scroll for that. And then with my audiobook, I am listening to The Blonde Dies First. I'm almost halfway through with that one. I'm reading that for the quest, so here we don't really have the time limit because you don't have to do the quest in September. But I'm really enjoying it, almost halfway through, 45%. And in this one, we're following a group of diverse teenagers who basically center around twins, and we have one sister who's kind of like the cool one with the blonde colored hair, and then we have the like nerdy, very smart one, and the smart twin goes to this fancy private school, and she finishes high school a year early, and they have like a little celebration for that with her like preppy private school friends, and while they are there, they play around with a Ouija board, and then things get pretty wild pretty quickly, I must say. Now, this is a little bit different from what I expected, because the first book of this author, which I also read this year, was very much centered in like one location. We have this like one manor house where everything basically takes place. In this one, we are running around a little bit more, which I expected this to be also kind of like concentrated on a single place, and I think I would have enjoyed that a little bit more, you know, but it's fine. I'm having a grand old time with that. It's definitely kind of like a mixture of a slasher and kind of like a possession or like demon story, so it is fun. So far, I wasn't quite sure about the sister dynamic. I think it is going in the right direction for me personally now, so we'll see about that. But the two twin sisters definitely have kind of a challenged bond right now, because the like normal sister feels left behind by her like super smart achiever sister, and she's just trying to kind of win her love back and her appreciation, and that is like very hard to watch for me personally. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm having fun with that book. And I think that's all I'm gonna say for this update. I will see if I will share anything from my trip with you, but we'll definitely do a final update once the month is over. If you were ever wondering, this is what a little asshole looks like. So today it's the last day of the readathon. It is the 30th of September, and I'm pretty confident that I will not finish my final book for my calling this month. I think I still have to do the Deat in alchemy, and for that I'm currently reading The Next Step in the Dance. But I am now a third of the way into this, and I don't think I will finish the rest of this today. I probably get about 2/3 if I really try, but I won't be able to finish it. So I'm okay with that. I will get a scroll of extension so I can finish this in the beginning of October. It's fine. In this book, we are following a married couple. I have a hard time kind of pinpointing when we are in time. It feels like maybe the 80s or something like that. This book was published in the 90s, so we still have like no cell phones and stuff like that. It feels very much like 80s, 90s kind of thing. And we have this married couple, and they are from the Bayou area, but the wife always wanted to achieve more greatness. She's very, very beautiful. She's like the prettiest girl in town. And so she wants to go out there and just find a glittery, fantastic world that she imagines is out there waiting for her. While her husband is, I would say, a little bit dumb, like especially in the beginning when you read about him, he doesn't really think about a lot of things. He's kind of naive with things, and so he doesn't really have like a high ambition. He likes fixing old machines, and that's like his life's calling, and he's like very happy doing that, but it's like not bringing in the big bucks and also not a very like exciting glittery job. And so in the beginning of the novel, the wife decides to leave her husband when she finds out that he went to a kind of, what do you call them, like a drive-in movie cinema with a different woman, and she finds out about that, and so she decides to leave him, and it's about them kind of living their lives kind of next to each other, maybe finding their way back to each other. I'm not quite sure about that yet, but yeah, so far they have moved out to California now, and they have like their separate lives, but their paths keep crossing again and again, and they can't really let go of each other. So this is not typically what I would read. I'm not really interested in like married life and stuff like that. I always am a little bit hesitant reading about, you know, married couples that obviously didn't even know each other. These two people are in their like late 20s, so they're also very, very young, but when you read this book, they feel like they're in their like late 40s. I don't know. So yeah, we'll see. I'll keep reading this, and obviously dancing is a big part of this book as well. And then for my audiobook, The Blonde Dies First, I have about 2.5 hours left, so I'm about 2/3 of the way into this one. I also don't think I will finish it today, but that is for the quest, so I will just continue on with the quest in October. It's not a big deal, but I'm still enjoying it. It definitely has a lot of action, but it's just nowhere near as good as the first book from the author for me personally. So I'll update you once again tomorrow to let you know like the final things I have achieved in this month. And then September is already over, and I have no idea how that happened. So today is the 1st of October, and with that we're coming to the end of this vlog. As I had predicted yesterday, I did not finish my last books by the end of September, but that's alright. I got a scroll of extension for my last prompt for the calling, and I will probably finish it today or tomorrow, so it will all be fine. It's funny because I'm like literally just, you know, in need of like one more day, and when the readathon was still happening in August, we had that one more day, so I feel like I've been kind of cheated here. But no, jokes aside, I am still, you know, working to finish the readathon, but for the vlog we're gonna end it here. So I am now 250 pages into the next step in the dance. I have about 140 left, so this should get read quite quickly. It reads very quickly, so I am very optimistic that I will get this done within the next like 1 or 2 days. But this started out quite tame. I talked a little bit about it yesterday, but then around the 180 page mark, something very dramatic happens, and it definitely puts everything into a very new spin. So it was definitely quite intriguing, and I had a lot of fun reading this last night, which I did not expect. So I'm very intrigued to read the rest of this book. This still deals with themes that I don't really enjoy, but I think if I would enjoy them, this book book would probably be 5 stars. So it's a very interesting reading experience, and I did not see this turn so juicy, to be honest, and it was quite a twist. But yeah, I'll continue on with this one, and then for my audiobook, The Blonde Dies First, which I'm reading for the quest, so I don't need an extension on it. I can just continue on with it in October, but right now I have like half an hour left. So could I have just finished it and then talk to you? Probably, but it's also the 1st of October, so it doesn't really count. But yeah, I'm pretty much almost done with that. I will finish it today. It is good. I still prefer the author's first book because I just enjoyed the themes and the way it was dealing with like the horrific things more. This one is definitely much more of a slasher, and it deals with themes of gentrification, but then also very heavily with this like twin sister relationship, which I like the discussions they're having. I'm just not always the biggest fan of these things, probably because I don't have a sister that is my age, so I've never really had to deal with any of this, so it's not something I really connect with. But maybe if you have a twin sister, these discussions might be quite interesting. And then also it deals with our main character kind of coming to terms with her growing up, so it does have these coming of age things in it as well. So it's definitely a well-rounded package that is still very fun and exciting to read while dealing with interesting themes. Just it's not quite out there where the first book was for me, but yeah, overall this was a fun reading month. Could I have done more? Probably. Do I wish I would have done more? Yes, very much so, but let's just wrap it up quickly and then I'll let you go. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the classes I had to do for my calling. I had to do the O in Alchemy emotional read. For that I read Baron and Luthien by J.R. Tolkien. Then I had to do the Q in Alchemy, a traditionally published book that was first self-published. For that I read the horrible When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. For the D in Alchemy, Food on the Cover, I'm still reading The Next Step in the Dance. For Inscription O, a title with all the letters of the first name, I read The 10,000 Days of January by Alexi Harrow. Then for Q Inscription, a color wheel for the title color, I got red. And so I read Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. Then we have Artificery O, which is a cover in the color of your birthstone. Again, for me that would be red. And I read Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. Then we have Spells and Incantations O, which was a 5-star prediction. And for that I read House of Always by Jenn Lyons. And Spells and Incantations Q would be any book in a video that G posted on her channel Book Roast. For that I read Dead Cat Tail Assassins by P. Djèlí Clark. Then I also finished 2 books for the quest, and that was G Volume 8, G Sweet Home Volume 8, and a Japanese novel. In Germany it's called Sommerliebe by Mori Yoko. So that was my reading. As I said, 2 books still going on, probably gonna get finished in the first days of October, but I talk more about that in my next reading vlog for October, so if you don't want to miss it, definitely subscribe. I would love to have you here, and leave a like or nice comment. Let me know how your reading went in September. I would love to hear about that, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye!